It was just past midnight when Ethan Clarke heard the chime on his phone. He was sprawled on his couch in his tiny Los Angeles apartment, half asleep, the blue glow of his TV casting shadows across the walls. He hadn't ordered anything. Least, he didn't remember doing it, yet there it was. Your order is on its way. At the undies minute, the app logo looked familiar, like Grubhub or DoorDash, but the name was different. A glitchy red icon flickered at the top of his screen, spelling only one word: feed. Ethan frowned. He swore he hadn't installed this app. The notification pulsed like a heartbeat, and curiosity mixed with any skepticism, staring until a knock rattled his door. 3 sharp knocks. The sound was heavy, deliberate, like whoever was on the other side wasn't just delivering food, but something more. Ethan approached slowly, his bare feet sticking to the cheap carpet. When he peered through the peephole, he nearly recoiled. The delivery driver wasn't wearing any uniform. His hoodie was pulled so tight around his face, it was impossible to see his features. He just stood there, motionless, holding a large brown paper bag stained dark at the bottom. Against his better judgment, Ethan opened the door. The driver said nothing. He didn't even hand over the bag. He simply set it down on the threshold and walked away, his footsteps echoing strangely in the hall, like bone striking bone. Ethan called out, "Hey, I didn't order anything." The man didn't look back. The bag was warm, too warm. Ethan carried it to his kitchen counter, a sour, metallic smell already leaking through the paper. His stomach tightened as he peeled it open. Inside was raw meat. Not packaged, not wrapped, just slabs of glistening flesh, pink, red, and dripping blood onto the countertop. The smell was unmistakable. Copper and rot. "What the fuck?" Ethan muttered, stumbling back. His phone buzzed again. A new message lit the screen. "Eat or be eaten." Ethan's mouth went dry. His hands shook as he swiped to uninstall the app, but it wasn't listed anywhere on his phone. Instead, the notification bar kept flashing. "Order delivered. Thank you for using feed." The bag twitched for a moment. Ethan thought it was just his imagination, but then one of the fleshy chunks shifted, twitching like it was alive. Blood seeped thicker, pooling on the counter and dripping onto the floor in fat red splatters. A noise broke the silence. A faint, wet slurping sound, as if someone or something was sucking the marrow from bones. Ethan's heart hammered as he leaned closer. From beneath the meat, something pale was moving. A hand. A small hand, twitching, fingers curling weakly before going limp. It wasn't just meat. It was human. Ethan stumbled backward, his stomach lurching. The smell was suffocating now, thick with decay. He ran to the sink and gagged bile burning his throat. His phone buzzed again. This time it was a photo notification. Hands trembling, he opened it. The picture was of him, taken from outside his apartment window. He hadn't heard anyone there, hadn't seen anyone but. The shot was clear, showing him standing at his counter with a bloody bag. Beneath the image was a single line. "Enjoy your meal," Ethan snapped. He grabbed the bag, ran to his front door, and hurled it into the hall. Blood sprayed across the carpet. The bag tore open, spilling a heap of mangled tissue, hair, and bone fragments. The small hand flopped out, its fingernails painted bright pink. It belonged to a child. Ethan staggered back, his breath shallow. His mind screamed at him to call the police to get help, but when he looked up, the hallway was empty. The bag and the meat were gone. Only a smear of blood remained, dragged away in a long streak leading toward the stairwell. And then, from the shadows below, came a voice. Order confirmed. Next delivery. Coming soon. Ethan didn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the little hand twitching in the bag, the pink fingernails, the way the blood had soaked through his carpet. He scrubbed the floor until his arm shook, but no matter how hard he worked, the smell wouldn't leave. It clung to the air like a stain in his lungs. By dawn, he convinced himself he had hallucinated it all. Stress, exhaustion, maybe too much whiskey. But when he finally looked at his phone, the feed app was back sitting on his home screen like it had always been there. New order notification pulsed red. Order number 2. ETA 15 minutes. Ethan's chest tightened. He grabbed his keys and bolted for the door. If he could just leave, just get out of the building, maybe this nightmare would end. But when he stepped into the hallway, his stomach dropped. Every door on his floor was open, wide open. He crept past apartment after apartment. Each unit looked abandoned, lights flickering, televisions hissing static, kitchen tables set with half-eaten meals that had long gone cold. And the silence. It wasn't natural. At the far end of the hall, he saw it. A trail of bloody footprints, small, child-sized, leading right toward his door. Panic clawed at his chest. He stumbled for the stairwell, racing down to the lobby. But the moment he pushed through the exit door, he froze. The delivery driver was waiting. Same hoodie, same faceless posture. This time, he held a larger bag, black plastic instead of paper, sagging heavily in his hands. Blood leaked from the bottom in steady drips, forming a red trail across the linoleum floor. Double quotes. No, no, I don't want it. Ethan shouted, backing away. The driver didn't speak. He simply placed the bag at Ethan's feet, turned, and walked back out the door into the blinding morning light. Ethan's phone buzzed. Eat or be eaten. The bag writhed. He staggered back, but the plastic bulged outward like something inside was trying to claw its way free. Then came the sound, wet tearing, like skin ripping apart. A sharp edge punched through the plastic, dripping with blood. A human arm slid out, pale and limp, followed by strands of matted black hair. No, oh God, no. Ethan whispered, "Dot?" He kicked the bag over. The plastic tore wide, spilling its contents across the lobby floor. A woman's body. Her eyes were gone, sockets hollow and leaking dark blood. Her jaw was broken, hanging loose, teeth shattered and scattered like pebbles. Deep gashes carved into her torso made her ribs visible, like someone had butchered her alive. Her legs had been cut off below the knees, jagged bone protruding from the wounds. And worst of all, she was still moving. Her chest hitched in a shallow, rattling gasp. Her fingers twitched, clawing weakly at the blood-soaked tiles. A low, wet Moan gurgled from her ruined throat. Ethan gagged, falling to his knees. Jesus Christ. Somebody help. Please. But there was no one. The building was silent, the lobby deserted. The woman turned her head toward him, and though she had no eyes, he felt her staring straight at him. Eat, she rasped, her voice shredded and raw. Blood bubbled at her lips. Ethan scrambled to his feet, tripping over himself, and sprinted back up the stairs. Behind him, the sound of flesh dragging across the floor followed, a heavy, wet scrape. His phone buzzed again. He didn't want to look, but his trembling hands unlocked the screen anyway. A live video stream was playing. It showed him running up the stairwell in real time. The camera angle was from directly behind him, as though someone was following closely, recording every frantic step. Ethan turned. Nothing was there, just shadows, but the video showed otherwise. Dot in the stream. Something inhuman was right behind him, tall, skeletal, with its jaw hanging unnaturally low, drooling thick black saliva onto the stairs. Its eyes glowed faintly red, locked on him, like prey. The stream glitched and froze on a single frame. Ethan's face twisted in terror beneath the image. A message appeared. Order number 3 is being prepared. Ethan slammed his apartment door shut, chest heaving like it might burst through his ribs. He pressed his back to the wood, sweat pouring down his face, phone still buzzing in his hand. His ears strained against the silence. Nothing. No scraping. No dragging. No wet gurgles from that mutilated woman. But silence was worse. That because silence meant waiting. His phone vibrated again. He didn't want to look. He knew it would be another order. But the screen lit up anyway, forcing itself into his gaze. Order number 3. Special delivery. Eta and 10 minutes. Ethan's stomach twisted violently. He dropped the phone, and it clattered across the floor. He told himself not to touch it, not to open the door, not to acknowledge this nightmare. But his eyes drifted to the window. Outside, the street was empty. No cars, no people, just a dull gray sky pressing down like a lid on the world. He opened the window, desperate for fresh air, for proof that he wasn't alone. That's when he heard it. A chant, low, rhythmic, guttural voices rising from below. He leaned out cautiously, staring down at the street. They were there. Dozens of them. People, neighbors, strangers standing in a circle directly below his building, their heads tilted unnaturally back, mouths open wide, throats straining as they repeated one word over and over: feed, feed, feed. His blood ran cold. He recognized one of them, Mrs. Jensen, the old woman from 3 Bites who always smelled like mothballs. Her nightgown was soaked with blood. Her lips were a way to pink muscle, her teeth jutting out grotesquely as she mouthed the word. Next to her, the kid from 4C, his face was gone too. Skin peeled back from his skull like wallpaper. His jawbone was exposed. Swinging loosely with each feed, Ethan stumbled back from the window. Gagging. That the chanting stopped. He froze. Something moved behind him. Slowly, He turned toward his living room. The delivery bag was there, but he hadn't let it in. This one was different. Not plastic, not paper, a burlap sack, heavy, dark stains soaking through it pulsed faintly, like it was breathing. "No," Ethan whispered, shaking his head. "Not again. No more." But the sack moved. It writhed, stretching the fabric outward. A sharp snap cracked from inside, like a bone breaking. Then came a muffled scream, the sound of a woman in agony. Ethan's legs trembled, but he forced himself forward. He had to see. He had to know with shaking fingers. He grabbed the knot at the top and yanked it open. The smell hit him first rotting meat. Sewage. Metallic blood all blended into a stench so thick it clotted his throat. Inside was a woman alive. Her skin was flayed in strips. Her chest cavity split open so that her ribs jutted outward like claws. Her stomach had been sliced open, intestines spilling across the bottom of the sack, writhing faintly as though they were still alive. But it was her face that broke. Him. Because it was his mother's face. Her eyes, cloudy with pain, blinked up at him. Her lips trembled, trying to form words. "Ethan," she gasped, blood bubbling at the corners of her mouth. He fell back, slamming against the wall, shaking his head violently. "No, no, you're dead. You're dead. I buried you last year." Her body twitched violently. The scream that ripped from her throat wasn't human. It was guttural, echoing, layered like a dozen voices shrieking through her at once. The sack burst apart, spraying blood across the walls. As her body convulsed out of it, landing on all fours, her spine bent backward at an impossible angle, bones cracking like dry wood. Her ribs snapped wider, forming jagged wings of white bone dripping with gore. Ethan scrambled into the kitchen, yanking open drawers until he found a knife. He pointed it at her, hand trembling so violently the blade rattled in his grip. She smiled, or what was left of her mouth did. Half her cheek was gone, exposing molars that glistened with saliva. "Hungry?" she rasped, and lunged. Ethan screamed, slashing wildly. The knife sank into her chest, cutting through what was left of her heart. Blood gushed out in a torrent, covering his arms, face, chest. But she didn't fall. She laughed, a bubbling, wet, monstrous laugh that filled the apartment. She grabbed his wrist with claw-like fingers, bending it backward until he dropped the knife. Then she shoved him hard, sending him sprawling across the kitchen tiles. Ethan scrambled backward, slipping in the blood pooling beneath him. His mother's mutilated body crawled toward him, ribs scraping the floor like insect legs, her intestines dragging behind like a grotesque tail. His phone buzzed. Through the blur of terror, he saw the screen light up. Order number 3 completed. Bon. A.P. Petty, his mother stopped crawling. She tilted her head, almost lovingly, before her flesh began to bubble and melt, sloughing off her bones. Her body collapsed into a pile of rotting meat, sizzling as though it were cooking on invisible flames. Ethan gagged bile, burning his throat as smoke rose from the mess. The smell was unbearable. His phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a message. It was a live stream. The feed showed him sitting in the blood-soaked kitchen, knife beside him, body shaking with terror. But there was something else. In the corner of the stream's frame, a shadow moved. Something tall, something watching him. He turned, heart in his throat, but the kitchen was empty. When he looked back at the phone, the shadow was closer, right behind him. The stream glitched, the camera zooming into his face, frozen in panic. Then the words appeared across the bottom of the screen. Order number 4, final delivery. Etha, midnight. The clock on Ethan's microwave flickered 11:59 p.m. Each second felt like a blade sliding across his nerves. His body trembled with exhaustion, his hands stained with blood that no amount of frantic scrubbing could wash away. His mother's remains still steamed in the center of the kitchen floor, reduced to a foul puddle of meat and bone fragments that twitched occasionally as though something was still alive inside them. He couldn't look at it anymore, but it didn't matter, because the phone on the floor glowed bright in the darkness, screen cracked but message clear. Order number 4, final delivery. ETA, midnight. Ethan's heart pounded so hard he thought it might burst. No more, he whispered to himself, rocking against the cabinet. I'm done. I'm not opening the door. I'm not touching it. They can't make me. They can't. The lights in the apartment died. Everything sank into pitch black. And then 3 sharp knocks at the door. Knock. 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 The sound echoed through the apartment, louder than any knock should have been. Ethan froze, breath caught in his chest. Then the door creaked. Not open, just flexing against pressure. Something was on the other side. Whispering. Not one voice. Dozens, hundreds, hissing through the cracks like steam escaping pipes. Ethan clamped his hands over his ears, but the whispers bled into his skull anyway. Open it. Feed us. Final order. He stumbled backward, tripping over the slick blood on the tiles. The door rattled. The chain lock snapped off the wall with a shriek. Slowly, the door opened on its own, and the bag was there. Not plastic, not paper, not burlap. This one was flesh. A sack made of stitched together human skin, veins pulsing, tiny mouths opening and closing across its surface as though whispering secrets. Blood oozed from its seams, pooling onto the carpet. The bag twitched. And then it ripped open from the inside. Something crawled out. At first, Ethan thought it was a person. It had arms, legs, a torso, but every inch of it was wrong. Its limbs were too long, bones bent at grotesque angles. Its hands were claws, nails black and jagged. Its head was split down the middle, a raw, gaping maw lined with hundreds of teeth where its face should have been. It dragged itself forward, leaving a trail of slime and blood. Its body was made of many Botus faces pushing against its skin, screaming silently before sinking back beneath the surface. Ethan scrambled into the living room, grabbing the knife again. His hand shook so badly the blade wobbled in the air. "Stay back!" he screamed, though his voice cracked and sounded pathetic even to him. The thing didn't stop. It rose to its full height, towering over him, scraping the ceiling. Limbs split and multiplied, bones tearing through skin to form more arms, more claws, more writhing appendages. Its chest split open, and Ethan saw rows of eyes blinking inside, each one staring directly at him. Order complete, it rasped in a voice that was many voices layered into one. His mother's voice, the mutilated woman's voice, the neighbors chanting outside, all of them speaking at once. Ethan slashed with the knife, sinking it into one of its limbs. Thick, black blood sprayed across his face, burning his skin like acid. He screamed in agony as it sizzled, peeling his flesh away in strips. The monster laughed. It grabbed him with one clawed hand, lifting him off the ground like he weighed nothing. Bones cracked in his arm as it squeezed, his scream high-pitched and broken. Final delivery is you, it whispered into his mind. Ethan's stomach dropped. He looked down and saw the phone screen still glowing on the floor. The live stream was running again, but this time the comments were flooding in. Thousands of usernames, thousands of laughing emojis. They were watching him die. The monster dragged its claws across his stomach. His skin split open, blood pouring in thick rivers down his torso. With one swift motion, it plunged its hand inside, ripping him open like a sack of grain. His intestines spilled onto the floor, glistening wet coils sliding across the tiles. Ethan convulsed, vision blurring, mouth frothing with blood. His body refused to die. Quillet wanted him to feel everything. That the monster dropped him onto the floor and began to eat. Not with its face smell, but with every part of its body. The mouths all over its flesh opened wide, biting, tearing chunks of him away. His screams rose into the night, echoing through the building. And then he saw the truth. The faces writhing inside the creature, his neighbors, his mother, strangers. They weren't dead. They were trapped, their mouths opened and closed in. Silent screams as the monster feasted. He realized with dawning horror every delivery had been a soul fed into this endless hunger. And now he was joining them. His vision dimmed as the monster bit into his chest, tearing his ribs apart like zig-zig. His heart thudded one last time before it was pulled from his body, still beating, and swallowed whole. The live stream froze on his bloodied, lifeless face. The comments scrolled faster, hundreds per second. Best delivery yet? More Gore, PLZ. When's the next drop? The screen cut to black dot, and then a new message appeared. Order number 5, confirmed, ETA tomorrow, somewhere else. Another phone buzzed. Another customer waited.
Please like and subscribe channel Fear Frequency for more horror stories. Thank you.